Hello. Hello and welcome to another short video on objects of JavaScript. This is the fourth part and I guess there will be two more parts because objects are quite big in JavaScript. Essentially everything is built on top of objects. So let's continue where we left off. Last video we did strict mode and before that we had done the third part of the objects. So this is the fourth part. Now, the JavaScript object looks like this. So here we have a property X or a member X, its value is 1. So you can think that an object consists of properties, okay? And certain times we may want to check whether a particular property exists in JavaScript object or not, in a certain JavaScript object or not. So there are quite a few ways to test that. One of the ways is the in operator. Now, when you use in operator, it will return you true if the object has its own property or it is an inherited property. So for example, when we do console.log x in O, remember the double quotes for property names. So x is definitely an own property of O, so it will return true. If we test y in O, then it will return false because O does not have property y. And if we test toString in O, then this will also return true because O inherits a toString property from the object. So if you want to see this in action, then we can run this object4.js and it returns true, false, and true. The other way to test for membership is using not is equal to instead of this in operator and test it against undefined. So for example, these two lines will test against undefined. So here x is 1, which is defined, so it will return true. This is not equal to. This is just editor which shows up certain operators in certain way. For example, if you write greater than is equal to, it will make like this. If you write less than equal to, it will make like this. So it is just the editor thing. Okay, it is not is equal to. Now, y is not a member of object O. It is not a property, so it will be undefined. So if we run this again, let me save it. We run this again, it will return true and false. But there's a gotcha here. If you call it undefined, then this will also return false. You see, there's a problem. So you cannot, you have to be careful when you use this undefined technique to do this. Okay. Then the other technique to test membership is, let me make this one. The other technique to test membership in an object is has own property. Now this will return true only if that property is of that object. So for example, in this case, or rather in this over here, has own property x will return true because x is its own property. Y will return false because y is not a property. And toString will also return false because toString is not an own property but an inherited property. It is coming from object. It is not O's property. So if we run this now, it gives us true, false, and false. Now let's comment this out. Then there is another function called properties enumerable. It returns true only if the property in question is an own property and it is also enumerable. Now usually whatever members we will create on a JavaScript object will be enumerable by default. There are ways to make properties enumerable, but we will see those later. So for example, if we run this, so X is a property, okay? But toString is not enumerable because it's not its own property, so it will return false. Now, toString is a property of object, okay? But we'll see whether it is enumerable or not in a moment, okay? So we run this and it says false for the last argument. So toString is not an enumerable property. So with this, we can comment this out. Now, there are other techniques to get all the properties of an object. So consider this object O, which has three members, X, Y, Z. So sometimes you may want to iterate through all the properties of object. You can use the in operator in a for loop. You can say let p in O console.log p. So it will give you all the properties of that. Okay. If you want the values also, you can say o dot p. So it will give you the values. Okay, sorry, not o dot p, bracket p. Okay. Now, why this is important is because, for example, suppose you have property like this, then it will work here. Okay. Now, apart from this in operator, you can say that if it is not its own property, then continue. Otherwise, you log p. So X, Y, Z, A, B are logged because they are all own properties of object O. Similarly, you can say that if type of the property P is a function, okay, this is type of operator will give you the type, and then is equal to, is equal to, is equal to, 3 is equal to signs are here. So if it's a function, you can continue, else again you can say that this that will have the same effect. Okay, now we come to a bit of theory. So instead of for loop, there are four ways by which you can get an array of properties and iterate that array. So the four functions are object.keys is the first function. It returns an array of names of the enumerable own properties of the object. It does not return inherited properties. It does not include non-enumerable properties, inherited properties, or properties whose name is a symbol. So for example, we can say that console.log object.keys, and we can pass here O, and then we can run this. So it gives you the four names X, Y, Z, and AB. Let's comment this out for clarity. The other function is object.get own property names, like object.keys, but it returns array of the names of non-enumerable own properties as well, as long as their names are strings. So let's try this one also. I plug it here and we run this. We don't have any non-enumerable property here, so we can't test that. We will see non-enumerable properties later on. And then we have get own property symbols. Okay, so this will give you names which are symbols, but none of our property names are symbols, so it won't work. Then we have reflect.ownKeys, which we will see later, but it returns all property names, both enumerable and non-enumerable, both string and symbol. Now, the four functions which we have discussed and JSON.stringify. JSON.stringify basically, I'll show you what it does. So it will convert the object into a JSON string. Okay, we have not yet discussed JSON, but this is how it looks like. Okay, so JSON only uses double quotes for strings and it does not use single quotes. So you see the entire object is this. So X is 1, Y is 2, Z is 3, and AB is 4. So you can say that, in fact, you can say that JSON.load, okay, and you will see the exact JSON, okay, JSON.parse. We'll have to make it string actually. All right, let's leave it. We'll show when we discuss JSON that how to do this. Okay, what I wanted to show was that actually it is an object and JSON means JavaScript object notation. So you can load a string as the JSON, all right, and you can convert it into an object. However, what we were discussing is whenever you use these four functions, object.keys, object.getOwnProperty names, and getOwnProperty symbols, or reflect.ownKeys, then in that case, the names are printed in certain order, and these rules are here. So string properties whose names are non-negative integers are listed first, that is positive integers and zeros, in numeric order from smallest to largest. This rule means that arrays and array-like objects will have their properties enumerated in order. After all properties that look like array indexes are listed, all remaining properties with string names are listed, including properties that look like negative numbers or floating point numbers. These properties are listed in the order in which they were added to the object. For properties defined in an object literal, this order is the same order in which they appear in the literal. That is why when we print this, it gives XYZ let's see, for example, this one again. So it prints XYZ in that order. Now, for example, let's move this one elsewhere, okay? We put Z before X. All right, let's see what happens. So now Z should come before X, and it does come before X. So they will come in the same order in which they appear. Finally, the properties whose names are symbol objects are listed in the order in which they were added to the object. So symbols will be at the end in the order they appear in the object. So with this, we come to end of part 4. There will be two more parts of this objects in JavaScript, and I think by sixth part we should be able to finish the objects completely, and then we will move on to arrays. So stay tuned for more videos, and if you are not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. That helps me a lot. And like the video and make use of comment box to provide suggestion. Uh, Whatever you want, like a video or something on certain topic, or if you have noticed any error in the video, then also you can make use of the comment box. So I hope that you are advancing well in your studies of JavaScript, and I hope that my videos are helping you in your pursuit of knowledge for JavaScript. So thanks a lot for watching. Happy programming.